My dear students, welcome back to English class. Today we are going to continue the lesson Dr. B.R. Ambedkar brought to us by Sri R. Venkataraman. In our last class, we studied a few paragraphs on the qualities of Dr. B.R. Ambedkar from his childhood. In the first paragraph, we studied that he was a voracious reader. He used to curtail his daily expenses in order to purchase, or in order to save money and then purchase books. And whenever he had gone to other places, he purchased many books for his collection. Once he bought 2000 books, then again he bought thousands of books which were sent in 32 boxes. This tells us that he had great love for books. In the second paragraph, we see that Ambedkar's attention was greatly drawn towards the 14th Amendment of the USA's Constitution, where black Americans were given freedom. So he saw a parallel of the situation in India also, the situation of the depressed classes. When he came back to India, he was greatly influenced by Mahatma Phule. Mahatma Phule was a social reformer who aimed at creating a classless society. It is a society where there is no distinction between the rich and the poor. All are equal. Equal division of distribution of wealth and property, such a society. And women upliftment. So these ideas greatly influenced Dr. B.R. Ambedkar. That is what we study in the second paragraph. And also, we also know that in order to propagate his ideas, Dr. B.R. Ambedkar started three newspapers. Samata, then Bhahishkrit Bharat and Mooka Nayak were the three newspapers started by him. He also started different associations and institutions. One is Independent Labour Party of India and Hitakarini Sabha. These were the two institutions and associations started by him. Further, he was greatly influenced by the philosophy of Gandhiji. Gandhiji also believed that there should not be any inequality in the society. People should not fight in the name of caste and class. So he was also doing his work against untouchability, against caste distinction. So Dr. Ambedkar also shared the same idea, right? Next, in the third paragraph, we see that due to great ability of Dr. B.R. Ambedkar, he was, first of all, he was elected as the member of Bombay Legislative Assembly. He was elected in the election in the year 1935. Then, even in the parliament session also, he spoke about the rights of the depressed classes. Justice to be given to the depressed classes. Then we also see that soon Dr. Ambedkar became very popular throughout the nation, and when it came to making a new constitution, he was involved. He was made a member of the Constituent Assembly. Constituent Assembly is nothing but it is a team of experts formed in order to make a constitution, Constituent Assembly. And in that Constituent Assembly, a new committee was made that was called a drafting committee, because Indian Constitution was prepared in written form. So drafting committee, in the Dr. Ambedkar was made the chairman, the head of the drafting committee, member of the Constituent Assembly and chairman of the drafting committee. So that was due to the ability of Dr. B.R. Ambedkar in the field of lawmaking. We also come to know that as a chairman of the drafting committee, he was assisted, he was ably helped by many other experts. It was a team of hundreds of experts from all over India. They were called, they were invited, and they were put to make the constitution for our country. That was the process going on. We are going to study next We also study that Dr. B.R. Ambedkar raised brick by brick. He raised stage by stage, step by step, what we call today as the fundamental rights. The main part of the Constitution is fundamental rights. The importance of the Constitution is it safeguards, it protects a person's or citizen's individual rights. In the absence of a Constitution, no country or no citizen of any country will have his fundamental rights, and that country will become a slave in the hands of a person or any number of individuals. So that is the importance of a fundamental right. It enables the citizens to lead a free life. It gives so many freedom to the citizens. You are aware of the fundamental rights. Next, we are going to study further about the achievements of Dr. B.R. Ambedkar. Last class, I stopped at the 5th paragraph. I had done it partly. Today, I am going to continue from the same point. It devolved on Dr. Ambedkar to explain to the assembly with a combination of tact and frankness and utmost patience the meaning and scope of the different provisions of the draft constitution. Now, after several months of hard work, the draft of the constitution, the first copy, the rough copy of the constitution was ready. Now, once it is ready, could it be put to force immediately? No. One has to explain it in the assembly. One has to convince all the members of the assembly what is written in that. If any member in the assembly has doubts, if they do not understand any fact, that person should be in a position to explain it to them, convince them the meaning of those terms and words. Now, who could do it better? Among all the hundreds of people, there was only one person who could do it better, who could explain to the people, in a very easy way. And that person was none other than Dr. B.R. Ambedkar. With utmost patience, frankness and tact, the meaning and scope of the draft constitution. So in that assembly meeting, Ambedkar was supposed to, read out the meaning and scope of Indian constitution. He had the rare gift of unraveling the most complicated legal concepts in a language which the layman could understand. So, why? It is because Dr. Ambedkar had that rare talent. A gift refers to talent, speciality or ability. What was his ability? He was in a position to explain even the most complex term or even the most difficult manner in such a way, in such an easy way that even a layman could understand. Layman refers to even a common man. Highly educated people will understand, of course. But in order to make it very simple for even a common man, Dr. Ambedkar was the right person. That is why he was chosen. He was able to unravel means to explain very clearly even to a common man. That was the rare gift of Dr. B.R. Ambedkar. Dr. B.R. Ambedkar, aided by the indefatigable constitutional advisor B.N. Rao, performed this task matchlessly. Even in this task also, he was ably assisted by another constitutional expert, indefatigable. Indefatigable refers to never to be tired, never giving up, full of energy. That person, B.N. Rao, advised him. Dr. Ambedkar had a clear perception of the mutuality of the three pillars of the state: the legislature, the executive, and the judiciary. He realized that the jurisdiction of each should be clear and untrammeled. So, as a lawmaker, Dr. B.R. Ambedkar had clear-cut vision about the powers and control of the three organs of the states. All of us know the three organs of the states. So each organ has its own power. Each organ has its own area of control. For example, Manipal police station has its own area of control. After that, next Udupi police station, it has its own area of control. DC of Udupi. DC of Udupi has its own area of control, Udupi district. Next, if it is Dakshina Kannada, DC of Dakshina Kannada has to look after. So district-wide DCs change. Similarly, legislature, executive and judiciary, they have their own area of control. They have their own duties to perform. This idea was clearly known to Dr. B.R. Ambedkar. You may ask how? How would he know about all these things? So he understood all these things by reading the constitutions of many countries. He understood the laws and rules and regulations of many countries. Example is there, he read the Constitution of USA. That's why he read the 14th Amendment of the Constitution. So in this way, he had a clear-cut idea about what to be put in the Constitution. So he realized that the jurisdiction, area of control of each organ should be untrammeled. It should not be restricted. At the same time, he had a sense of the importance of a role of citizens. See, both are important here. Role of organs, area of control of organs, and the role of citizens. While making a constitution, you cannot ignore any of these parts. It should be the same. It should protect the interests of the both, the rulers and the ruled, the politicians whom you call, and the citizens. Their rights and duties should be clearly defined in that written form, that is Constitution. The following observation he made is significant regarding Constitution. He believed the Constitution is a fundamental document. It is an important document, main document, vital one. It is a document which defines the power and position of the three organs of the state. It is a document which defines, which draws about the position and power of the three organs of the legislature. It also defines the power of the executive and the powers of the legislature as against the citizens, as we have done in our chapter dealing with the fundamental rights. So in Constitution, powers of both are defined. Powers of legislature, executive and judiciary, 3. Then fundamental rights of the citizen. Both are defined very clearly. In fact, the purpose of a constitution is not merely to create organs of the state, but to limit their authority. The purpose of the constitution is not to create only 3 organs and stop it. No, some limitation should be put on them. You can do this, you can't do that. That a list of do's and don'ts should be mentioned in the constitution. When a government is formed, when many people came as rulers, they have to see the constitution and they have to go in accordance with the constitution. They cannot follow their will and wish. It should be according to the rules and regulations of the constitution. That is what Ambedkar said. It is to limit their authority, limit their control or power. Because, why should we limit their power? Because if no limitation was imposed upon the authority of the organs, there will be complete tyranny and complete oppression. What happens if a constitution does not define the limitations or limitations of the powers of these people? What will happen? It will lead to tyranny and oppression. Tyranny refers to lawlessness. That ruler will take all the laws in his hands. He will violate all the rules and regulations. He may take back all the fundamental rights of the citizens and all the privileges that citizens are enjoying. He may turn out to be a dictator. That is why Constitution should define each and everything. It is a book of rules and regulations to be followed. So there will be complete tyranny and complete oppression if more freedom is given to these three organs of the state. 7th paragraph. Jawaharlal Nehru chose Dr. B.R. Ambedkar to be the first law minister of independent India. See, after 1947, new government was formed and Dr. Ambedkar was chosen by Jawaharlal Nehru. Jawaharlal Nehru was aware of the capacities and capabilities of Dr. B.R. Ambedkar. That is why he chose him as the first law minister of independent India. This was a recognition of Dr. Ambedkar's skills in the field of law and legislation, and also a tribute to his vision of social justice, a vision which was sought to be infused into the new Indian polity. So it was a tribute, or it was a respect to the ability of Dr. B.R. Ambedkar, because he was a highly knowledgeable person in the field of law. No one equaled him. Secondly, it was also a tribute to the thinking and philosophy of Dr. B.R. Ambedkar. What was the social philosophy of Dr. B.R. Ambedkar? Dr. B.R. Ambedkar wanted to create a society full of equality, where the upper caste and the lower caste are treated equally and all the citizens get fundamental rights equally. That was the idea of Dr. B.R. Ambedkar, and he wanted to bring about such changes in independent India. But above all, this was a tribute to the success of Baba Saheb, Dr. B.R. Ambedkar's own campaigns against social injustice. It was also a tribute to Dr. B.R. Ambedkar's campaign against his agitation against social injustice. He wanted social justice to the people of the depressed classes. Who would have dreamt that one born to a Mahar family would one day become not only a law minister but a lawmaker and be hailed as the modern Manu? Who dreamt that a small boy, born in a Mahar family, a lower caste family, would grow so big that the entire nation would admire him, would grow so big that he would design the entire constitution of our country? Who had dreamt that such an ordinary person will become a great person one day? So he became a first law minister. He was a lawmaker, and to be hailed as, to be called as, to be considered as modern Manu. Who is this Manu? Manu was a person, you can understand. Manu was a mythological character who lived several centuries ago. Now, why should we compare Manu and Dr. Ambedkar? It is because they shared the same quality. In olden days, Manu had also written a book on rules and regulations to be followed. Just like Ambedkar, centuries ago, Manu had also written a book on rules and regulations. Now, since Dr. B.R. Ambedkar also did the same in modern times, he was regarded as modern Manu. That was original Manu. This is modern Manu. So, 8th paragraph. In the 4 decades and more since independence, much progress has been achieved in providing equality of opportunities to the people. After independence, 4 decades, 1 decade refers to 10 years, so 4 decades refers to 40 years or more. Even after that, many changes have taken place in providing equal opportunities to the people. Government has taken many steps to provide equality. Members of the scheduled castes, SC what we call, members of the scheduled castes find doors which had been closed to them for centuries being opened. In olden days, untouchability was so much in India that people of the lower caste were downtrodden. They were considered as good as animals. They were not allowed to take part in any temple festivals, any religious festivals. They were not allowed to join, any rituals. Nobody would go very close to them. Even touching those people was considered to be unholy, impure. They were not allowed to draw water from the common wells. They were not allowed to live in the main area of the society. They were pushed outside the society area. So such a treatment was given to them. But after independence, slowly all these things changed. Constitution provided them various measures to upgrade their lives. So all those doors which were closed, doors refers to temples, school, employment, and so on. All those doors which were closed were opened. They got new opportunities after independence. No legal bars exist today for self-expression and self-advancement. No restriction is there today for those people of lower caste to express themselves, to develop themselves, to uplift themselves. Like other people, they can also go to school, colleges, they can also attend a higher education course, they can also apply for jobs. Job opportunities are also created for them. So the situation has changed now. They are enrolling, see the development, they are enrolling themselves in institutes of higher learning and entering public services. Now, due to all those provisions, due to the efforts of Dr. B.R. Ambedkar, they are enrolling themselves, they are registering themselves in institutes of higher learning, master degree, MCom, engineering, MBBS, everything. Higher learning and entering public services. See, they are appearing for exams like IAS, IPS and entering public service. Public service refers to government employees. They are entering public services. They have come to occupy high offices of state, both at the center and in the states. See, even now we find them in high office of the state. They have become higher officers. DC, IAS, IPS, and so many posts have been occupied by them due to getting higher education. Judges, ambassadors, and governors have been drawn from their ranks. Today, they are also becoming governors, judges, and ambassadors. Who is an ambassador? Ambassador is nothing but he is a representative of our country in other countries. Each country is supposed representative or its representative to another country. For example, our ambassadors are there in USA. USA's ambassadors are there in India. Why is this arrangement? That is to maintain cordial relationship, a friendly relationship, and for trade and commerce and other political issues. If any problem arises for Indians in America, Indian ambassador would help them. In India also, if any American citizen finds any problem, whom should he consult? He should consult the American embassy. The office of the ambassador is called embassy. Ambassador refers to representative. Now, people of the lower classes are also become ambassadors due to education. And they have acquired themselves creditably in all these positions of responsibility. So they have come to occupy various posts and positions which are offered to them. And yet, much remains to be done in the social plane. The annual reports of the Commissioner of the Scheduled Castes and Scheduled Tribes list several violations of the law and several instances where, notwithstanding to the statute book, members of the scheduled castes have been discriminated against. But it is very sad to note that in spite of providing all those provisions in the Constitution, in spite of highlighting their fundamental rights, violations are taking place. rules are being broken. Rules that are mentioned in statute book. Statutory book refers to constitution. The members of the scheduled caste and scheduled tribes are discriminated against. In some parts of the places or India, we even see discrimination. Baba Saheb Ambedkar's work will be truly complete only when social discrimination is completely eliminated from our society. To realize, to make Ambedkar's dream true, we should work in such a way that this inequality or injustice is eliminated, is completely wiped out. This problem of untouchability, see, untouchability, touch me notism, it is also called. That problem should disappear from our society. Baba Saheb Ambedkar always stressed the importance of constitutional methods to achieve social objectives. In an interesting observation, he once described the methods of civil disobedience, non-cooperation and satyagraha as the grammar of anarchy. See, Dr. Ambedkar always believed that if you want to demand something from the government, you have to approach the government through constitutional methods, through proper channels, through proper rules and regulations. And he says, he described the methods of civil disobedience, non-cooperation and satyagraha as a grammar of anarchy. As history students, you remember that Gandhiji launched many movements against the British. Non-cooperation movement, civil disobedience movement, salt satyagraha, Dandi March, Quit India movement and so on. Why was that? Why were those movements launched? Was it to fight against Indian government? No. It was to fight against a foreign rule, British government, to end British rule or to give independence to India, to make the British quit the country. That was the main program behind these movements. And Dr. Ambedkar calls these movements as a grammar of anarchy. Why he calls those movements as grammar of anarchy? Grammar of anarchy means breaking the laws. It's a wrong system, he says. Where it is wrong system? Before independence or after independence it's a wrong system. Before independence it was correct. We were fighting against the British. They controlled our country. They came out to our country and controlled it. After independence, is it fair and right to hold such movements against our own government? That is what Ambedkar says. It is wrong to hold such movements after independence. Because after independence, India was ruled by our own people. They were not foreigners. Our own people ruled, and we are launching agitation movement against our own people. That is wrong. That's why he calls that after independence, these movements have become very strong and very severe in the name of strike, bandh. You know what happens when the strike and bandhs take place in India. For silly reasons, they hold strikes, bandhs, Rasta Roko, Rail Roko and all such movements. And in the name of such movements, people get together, they create a mob and they destroy public property, they kill innocent people, they set fire to the public property, buses, and that leads to a lot of crime. This is what Baba Saheb Ambedkar condemns. He criticizes. In the name of movement, should not resort to any violence. Before independence, there were many movements, but all those movements were less violent or they were non-violent. After independence, they became more violent. The observation assumes importance in the context of public education in free India. It is one thing to utilize these methods in a struggle against an alien power. It is right to use these movements to struggle against alien power. Alien refers to foreign power. British power, we can say. The right to rebellion is recognized against a government without people's consent, be it alien or national dictatorship, but not in a democracy based on free and fair election. Such movements are not fair in democracy, where people themselves choose their representatives, of the people, by the people and for the people. Abraham Lincoln's definition, a famous definition of democracy. He says, when it is a government by your own people, why should you agitate? Why should you go against them? If it is against a foreign power, then it is right, he says. Misdirected and volatile, such agitations invariably result in the loss of lives and public property. Just I told you. If these movements are misdirected, if people are misguided, if they misunderstand it, and volatile, such agitations, such movements invariably always result in loss of lives of innocent people and public property. This is how Dr. B.R. Ambedkar gives his view on holding movements against the government. So I have dealt with the 10 paragraphs. A few more paragraphs are remaining. I shall deal with those paragraphs in my next class. Thank you very much for viewing. Have a nice time.